Of course you are. That's how we do it, man. We just click that button again. That's better that way.
I
People
thought
get
we
the
did the
blue-
intro first, man.
I changed it up on you guys. You guys were giving too much good stuff, and then we had to keep it
Damn.
rolling. So, welcome Wednesday, live from New York. It's Wednesday night. So, all right, guys, Roundtable coming up. Welcome to my unfinished abode. I took a quarter of the garage for the show. So, yeah, it'll get there. Tomorrow this will be painted. We'll have a display case in here. Then I'll start working on the display. So we'll have more of that to show next week, Monday. So, how you doing, Will?
I got no complaints, man. Tired, long week already, but it was fun.
You have a good Fourth?
Yeah, we had a little bit of a barbecue. It was cool. Awesome. What about you? Just moving stuff?
Just trying to figure out how you're here and there.
I'm everywhere.
Everywhere. He's everywhere. Swami, yeah, you're making the rounds lately, that's for sure. Swami, what's up?
What's up, Swam?
Nostalgic. How's it going, man?
Nostalgic.
Interglobal's here. We got a guest waiting in the back room. Let's bring him in. You guys know him as Marvel Guy 239, a.k.a. Kent in Florida.
What's up, boys?
Enjoying the weather. Did you get that storm that Lewis had the other day?
Not as bad as him, no. It's funny, Lem. We're still waiting for the rain. It's like usually you can set your watch to 4 p.m. Thunderstorms down here, but it's not come yet. So no, hadn't been crazy yet.
Yeah, we've been in Kansas now we got here on the 2nd. So we've been here for this is our 3rd full day here. So yeah, it's been hot, but we got some rain, like 11 o'clock sharp. It started raining. It started thunderstorming. The fireworks were going already. So the dog was already hiding in the bathroom under the toilet. It was crazy.
Yeah.
What's going on, Matt? Funny. How you doing, man?
Having a good day. What's up, man?
Hey, how's it going?
Dan, how you doing, buddy? Absolute Gaming Nerds. What's going on? How you guys doing? Swami with another big let's go.
I'm channeling Alonzo tonight.
Portis, what's up? First Roundtable, you're able to watch live. Awesome. Thanks for joining us, man. Hopefully we keep it somewhat on the train track tonight. So we don't really care where the tracks go. They just go wherever they go. So Melfi, Vintage George has some good cards to trade for that Craven comic cut.
All right.
That's a good cut, man. You had a pretty solid case by all accounts.
Yeah, not too bad.
And you just got your replacement back already, didn't you, from the one box?
Yeah, the first box that didn't have an insert.
That's crazy fast.
Yeah, it was less than a week.
You already got that back, dude?
Yeah.
That's insane.
When I put my claim in for a missing hit a few weeks ago, literally like within about a week and a half, I got a Prowler low series pink that came in. So
holy moly.
Yeah, so they're definitely.
I'm wondering if the replacement cards for those Tour Lure boxes that I had issues missing hits from is already just sitting in the mailbox waiting for them to change the lock so I can actually get to the mail.
It's possible.
Yeah, the subdivision we're in.
I've got a horror story that I'm not going to tell because it doesn't sound good about my whole.
Well, then why you even bring it up?
Do tell.
All right, Kent, it was nice talking to you, but sorry, we got to let you go.
I overruled. Bring it back.
We don't do those. I know something, but I can't tell you people here.
I'm not telling that story.
Like Brittany Murphy in that movie. I'll never tell.
Like we're the reverse Illuminati. We share all details.
Yeah.
Unless it gets somebody in trouble.
The thing now
yeah. You're gonna be like Domino's.
Adam, what's up, man? How you doing?
Amen.
Hope you're doing well. Yeah, Melf, you had a pretty good case, man. I 2 solid hits though. That Spider-Man Red PMG. I mean, 3 Spider-Man Red PMG, Spider-Man Pink, the Gold Ghost Spider Planet Metal. That was 4 because the Craven cut too.
Craven cut. I mean, we had the Miles sketch.
Yeah, 5.
That's
pretty solid, man.
Yeah.
Hey, William, how's it going, man?
I was watching and cheering you along, man. I was just like, yes.
I know. I stopped going
was
on the stream
cool.
because the first three you did when I popped in and I was in the car because I was just getting done bringing some stuff down from the office. I popped out because my phone was about to die because it kept overheating, and then you pulled the Ghost Spider, and then you pulled the Red Spider-Man before it popped in. I'm like, I'm done going on for him. I want him to get more hits. So I was just rooting from the sidelines. Swami says, "What's so funny, Melfi?
Swami, get in here, man.
What's going on,
Yeah,
Brittany?
so
Send him the
right.
link. Send him the link if he wants to come in. He can come in." Retro Specs, what's up, man? How you doing? Hope you guys are all doing well tonight. So Daniel kind of gave you guys a little bit of a clickbait thumbnail today, and then I think he's running a little bit behind. He's got dad duty, so he'll probably be here in the next 20, 30 minutes, I would guess.
Something like this.
Dad duty takes
About
priority over these shows any day.
Something
So,
like something about
any
that.
news? Any new news on MM? Kent, you're a little fuzzy. I'm going to try to make you big. Show us again. You're a little fuzzy on the camera, but let's see if we can see what you got here. So you got a Wolverine CGC 8. Tell us what you got there, Kent.
So this is an homage sketch that I
masterpiece
pulled
sketch.
of 2016 masterpieces. Sorry, the camera's being stupid. That's an homage sketch by Chris Willig of the Jim Lee cover of this.
Then number
11,
11.
which I did have Jim do that when he did the signing last year, signature series, which we'll talk about here in a minute, but you can see Jim's signature there. And so pretty sweet. I actually, when I ripped this box, I actually was live with Justin when I ripped this box and I pulled this card and I had it. So once I pulled this card, I had to buy that book. Right. Obviously, like you have to. And then they had CGC had a signature series thing, and I had to do it. So, but that's part of our discussion we'll have tonight about signature series and CGC, and we'll talk about that in a minute.
We got another guest popping in. Welcome, Melfi Trade Me Swami. How are you?
Give it to me, baby.
Dan, Melfi, everybody wants to trade with you. Dan says he's got some good cards to trade for that pink set.
Melfi's got the goods. He's got the goods. He's got the hot hand.
Lucas, what's up? Hey, Justin, how you doing, man? Hope you're doing well. Justin, I'll be able to have most of my legends out tomorrow, so I'll be able to tell you whether or not I got that one we were talking about. Jay, what's up, man? How you doing?
Retro, are we supposed to sing that? The boys are back in town. Boys are back in town.
Oh yeah.
Why my sister had
Daniel wanted to talk.
Cross
Daniel wanted to talk
yesterday.
some grading tonight, and then he was going to show us kind of like how his process of like what people should look for with their books prior to sending them into grading or into the presser to see if it's stuff that can even get fixed in the first place. So we'll kind of let him come in on that. We did have a question. Nostalgic asked, so any new news on Masterpieces 22? It's probably going to get released in 27. No, as far as I know, no new news. Justin said something, Spidey said something about that the David Adams still doesn't have anything on their website about it, but then like 3 other distributors have different dates for it.
Yeah, like
Upper Deck said August, but I will not believe it.
Yeah, there was an August 30th date there, but their initial release was that it's getting released in July. And we said when that announcement was made that it's highly unlikely that it's probably just going to be pre-orders.
Yeah,
I mean, I talked to a few artists and they're just now getting their sketches approved for it.
And or declined.
Or declined, yes. And some of them are really pissed because they've done like 80 sketches and like, oh, I've got 25 that got declined or 30 that got declined, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
so I have accounts with 2 different distributors, and they both told me that they have not gotten their allocation yet.
No, not anytime soon, probably.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing is they're waiting. They got to wait for Upper Deck to get everything finalized so that way they can find out how much they're even getting.
Correct.
Interglobal, yeah, that's probably what their website says right now, but all subject to change, I'm sure.
Just like Legion.
Steel City will be one of the first ones, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's July 26th means we're probably going to see another push for some other products, I would guess, because they got a couple slotted for the end of
Isn't
July.
Premiere coming soon? I think Premiere.
Premiere, I think, was scheduled for September. Anime was like August.
Allegiance
And then
was
we
supposed to
had-
be like today.
We're still waiting on Beginnings.
That's
We're
not
still
happening.
waiting on Allegiance. Those keep getting pushed over and over
Yeah.
and over.
I heard
So-
Beginnings is getting pushed, man.
God.
It's just ridiculous.
They're trying to get some
You got-
holograms in there.
People just got so much money tied up into those sets waiting for them to come out.
Yeah.
And they can't do anything about it. They're just that money's just stuck there.
David Adams, you can cancel and get pretty much all your money back.
Yeah, but then you
Only
can't
if you paid
get
in
it
full.
back at that same
Yeah.
pre-order price, you know?
Right. If you want to, yeah, but we also didn't know MM was coming. I mean, just
True.
to give you an option, because you didn't
Yeah.
know MM was coming at the time.
Yeah. Like if you have a lot of money tied up into Beginnings and not knowing when that's going to come, you could cancel that to then
Yeah.
get into some masterpieces when that does get, well, hopefully get into masterpieces when it drops.
And if the trends follow some of these other sets, you might be able to get it at a lower price than you can now, you know? Once
Mhm.
it comes out and people run through it, you never know.
Yeah. Yeah, Jade, more time to save money for sure. Marvel Marshall. I know Dan Dos Santos does have a Patreon and he does give sneak peeks and stuff like that over there. So that might be a way for you to kind of get some ideas of what that Thanos might look like.
Checky Stacks, what's up, buddy?
We were lucky enough to be able to get the list of art that he did and release that last week. So everybody knew which characters were there at least and kind of a breakdown. Now, there was something on that list that we didn't discuss during the live stream that we kind of had an idea about afterwards, and we're pretty sure it's the case. I have no 100% guarantee on it. Again, we're just speculating, but let me see if I can pull it up. So the cards go in order alphabetically until you get to like the last like 7 or 8 cards, wasn't it, Matt? Something like that. 9 cards.
I think so. Yeah.
And then they're
On your
kind of paired
checklist?
up based on their brands.
Yeah.
And it's very likely that those are probably the quote unquote puzzle or scene cards
I think
based
you're
on
right
how
that.
they're paired up.
Yeah.
Because Dan wasn't able to confirm that on the live when he popped in, but that's very possible.
Hey, by the
that's
side
case.
note, that was the coolest thing ever, by the way. Just
I don't know about coolest thing ever, but that was pretty damn cool.
It was fun, man.
That
It
he
really was
able-
fun.
that He
It
was
was
able to
great
come
to
in.
nerd out with him, and
yeah, that
For
was
he had a
sure.
Star Trek
that was-
shirt, and I was just like,
yeah,
"Best friends now." So
totally cool. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, William, I think there's a decent amount of people out there that might be thinking that Upper Deck's probably in the process of losing the license in the next few years.
yeah, I made a comment about that because I used to work for retail organizations like Gateway Country, and I worked at Circuit City for a bit, and we could tell when the writing was on the wall when they started doing things like somebody got an email saying basically they weren't going to be pricing PMGs in the future releases and numbered inserts.
Mhm.
And if that's a sign to me, honestly, that if they're gonna cut that out because they take
Say that again.
those
What
cards.
are we talking about?
Yeah, wait.
There's been a post. Somebody had an email that they got from Upper Deck about a missing hit. It was a PMG, and basically it said that they weren't replacing the numbered inserts or the PMGs in the future. I mean, I don't know how true that is because today I actually had an approval for a value stamp Moon Knight that had what looked like some packing tape had been put on the stamp and ripped off. So like instead of it being blue Moon Knight with the blue background, it was Moon Knight, but like half of the card was just missing the actual like color. Like you can peel tape off of something, it just rips off some of the color, like on like so because we get a comic book, you get packing tape by accident on it, you pull it off, and it's pulling off all the color and everything.
Yeah,
So
but
I
to
said-
go back real quick, to go back to Upper Deck, like, could that have just been because, like, Spider-Man Metal, they screwed up so many boxes, they couldn't. There was no way they could actually meet. Like every box we saw get opened, it was like almost every other box was just
Yeah.
like even Scandell pulled some ungodly amount of PMGs from a box.
Yeah, there's four
from
from one box.
Yeah, I saw
He
that.
also
Yeah.
had boxes that didn't have PMGs in them. So
Right.
I wonder if that was just an email like, hey, in the future to cover our butts, if something goes wrong with the print distribution of these boxes, we're not going to meet, like, you're going to get one number, because I'm sure they were just hammered with people trying
yeah.
to get.
Well, think about it though. How much product would they have to hold back? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
How
or
much
buy
product are
off
you having to buy
eBay to
off of
replace
ComC?
it. Right.
for
Right.
replacements? Yeah.
You know,
Right, because like with Lewis, so Lewis had that Captain America King
The auto.
piece auto
Yeah,
out of 25 that they replaced one for one. It's
Yeah.
highly unlikely they had one of those sitting around that was extra. They had to go buy that from somewhere to then replace it.
Yeah.
So that's great customer service, but to be able to do anything like that for everybody is impossible.
Yes. Right.
Like, I mean, I got a 2013 Retro Red PMG for my replacement, and I'll take that any day of the week over Spider-Man Metal PMG. So,
But to go back real quick, because this whole thing was like Upper Deck losing the license. Like,
yeah,
I don't know if that email would get me thinking that they're losing the license anytime soon.
I just personally,
think-
so just to my aspect, just from experience, when I worked for Gateway, I was a service manager and also a floor manager there, and we had issues where we started noticing like less and less things coming for replacement parts for our service department, and then they just started sending out just new computers altogether for like a hard drive failure or for a CPU failure, instead of sending the parts out. Because they had that inventory sitting there, they didn't want to actually like allocate those parts and let them sit in the service departments. So you start to notice little things like little trickles, basically. And then literally on April Fools, they announced we were closing all the stores. So I don't know. I mean, like it's it's all rumors and speculation, but personally, I've been through something like that where a company goes out of business, or not goes out of business, but like loses a license or changes hands, and I don't know. I think something's brewing, honestly.
I do want to say this. I mean, Upper Deck is a family-owned business.
Mhm.
It's privately owned, and that's in a trust. So I don't know about the licensing part and if they can lose it or not, but they're not selling it. You know what I mean?
no, that's the thing is they can lose the licensing because the licensing is no
Yeah, that
different
part I
than
don't know. Right,
franchise.
right.
It's,
Yeah,
it's
right.
issued by Marvel and the controlling entities of the characters, right? They own the actual rights to that. They allow Upper Deck to create the cards licensed.
Yeah.
So they can lose the licensing. Their contract could potentially end, but they could have a lifetime contract too. Highly
Yeah,
unlikely.
I don't know that.
But Marvel's done stupid stuff in the past. So what makes me think that they're possibly on the brink of that is their patterns with the sets being released. And you see it with Panini on the sports side of things and how many sets are being released and how many things that were combined sets into like a Chronicles that are now individual sets broken off from the Chronicles. So Chronicles is essentially a bunch of different sets combined into one. And now those sets are being broken off into their own individual sets. And Upper Deck's just releasing more and more and more and more. And I'm sure they're contractually obligated to release these movie sets. But 2, 3, 4 years later, rushing them all out the door, to me, that signifies something's going on there that's not normal. And it's not just catching up. Because if it was just catching up, we'd have beginnings. We'd have allegiance sooner than having those sets continually being pushed out.
I think those
don't know.
MCU sets are obligated for sure. Like I don't think that they would have. I don't think that they would be doing Hawkeye right now if they didn't have to. But the other set, I just think it's, for me, it's more of like a longevity play. Like I don't know if you can ask the price points that you're asking for now, even straight to like the local card shops, asking them, let's say they're asking for $2.99 wholesale. That's a lot for anybody. Sure. So like I just don't know how you're building the brand by doing that.
And they're totally pricing out like mom and pop card shops on that.
Well, you're
Well,
creating.
let me ask you guys a question. So, do you remember when the V Friends thing came out a little while back? Right, the Gary V Series 1 set came out, and
Oh,
they did it. All right,
yeah.
so this is the Fanatics model that's kind of, I don't know if I'm say worried is the right thing about, but they kind of put it on like a Dutch auction where they want to be transparent about what the print run is, but then they're putting it up for auction, and then however, if there's 10,000 boxes, whatever it is, the top one and the bottom one, and then they average it, and then that's what it's worth, right? I'm a little worried about that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I mean,
It does. It does. It prices out
because at the end of the day, still the people that have the most money are going to get the cards.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
you still get priced out.
We got to look at it from different set perspectives too. Like they have sets that allow the average collector to buy, and Masterpieces is their set. It's their flawless.
Yes.
It's their national treasures.
Right.
Those sets are already priced out on the sports realm for the average collector, and the average collector isn't complaining about that. Masterpieces is the premier set for Marvel, and will probably stay that way, until they screw it up somehow.
I think I personally like Upper Deck. I think they're doing a pretty good job. I mean, and you guys, if you guys have a different opinion, that's totally cool. But
I agree with you.
I like how they're getting blasters into retail.
I do like that. I do.
I love all of their inserts. I love EX Sentry, PMGs, Star Powers, medallions. I love it all. I love the shiny, the flashy. I think
Your Pokemon's sticking out, man. Don't do that.
Oh yeah,
I completely agree with you. I do love the product, but I don't like some of the business practices. The fact that they basically seem to have nobody at the actual printing plant doing any type of QA or quality control. Like the amount of cards that were just had damage on every single card in the exact same spot. I mean, I don't know how difficult it is to just go ahead and say, okay, let's shred this sheet and just go ahead and print 2 more sheets, or how many you need for a 100-card set. Because every
I opened up
had
some
lines
tops
and-
recently, and it was shit. It was just as beat up and tore up, and I mean, they got to be. They got to be fighting for printer space, still, right? Because they're still having delays, and all these companies are still having delays. It's getting better, and we're getting more, but everything's still delayed. I'm sure they're just taking whatever the printer can pump out. I don't want to just give them a pass. I agree. I think X-Men Metal was the worst quality product I've ever opened in my life. It was a blast. It was one of the funnest, honestly. That was a new experience for me, opening up hobby that. But
I think if they could have nailed the foiling on the PMGs and X-Men Metal, that would have been a damn good.
That was obviously the big error. The pink PMGs was the big error
because their inserts were spot on for that set. I think they were all fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm going back and collecting arc welds and blast furnaces right now. I actually love those cards.
It's
The
funny.
arc
I've got the
welds
Wolverine
are
arc.
amazing.
I've got the Wolverine arc weld right over there on my couch.
I picked up an arc weld set minus the SSPs for $80 off of ComC. Just individually buying cards. I mean,
I've hit plenty of trade bait in the past few days, basically. with some of
you and
my,
Melfi both.
it's like that scene in Las Vegas Vacation when Russ
You
keeps
want me
putting
to
the
trade?
quarter in the slot machines. It's like I put $1 in, I want a car. I put $1 in, I want a car. That's not the norm. I don't know
Mr.
what's
Papa
going on.
Giorgio, right?
Mr. Papa Giorgio.
Newt says
that is
arc
my
welds are
date.
top notch. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's funny.
I like them just a little bit better than the blast furnaces. The only thing I don't like about the arc welds is that it's a horizontal card versus a vertical card.
I have no
I like
problem.
both.
crazy experience though, opening that up. I got one of them here. Something kind of similar to what Melfi's going to trade me, but this Planet Metal.
Let me make it big here. Yeah, the Phoenix.
All right, so
This
I got a
Phoenix
couple things to say about
card?
that. That's a
I
great
lost
card.
my mind. I
So
lost
I
my
really-
mind.
I really liked Planet Metals, but then somebody in here, who was it that mentioned what's the one that always goes off centered? It was in the comments.
Palladiums.
The Palladiums. Dude, the centering on those was just awful.
Yeah.
You couldn't get one that was centered. Do you ever look at those? I have the
Planet
Storm one
Metal?
around here somewhere.
No,
They're
the
so
Palladiums.
bad. No, I'm talking about the Palladiums. Right.
Oh, yeah.
The centering was just awful. Yeah.
Chris, to answer your
talking
question,
about-
it's probably a bunch of GI Joe cards.
The purely periodics are dope. I love
Yeah,
that.
those are
Oh,
typically
that's
off-center.
that's what
or-
I'm
or
talking about.
slanted
Purely,
just a little bit, right?
purely periodics.
they're-
That's what I'm
They're off.
talking about. I'm
They're off
sorry.
center
Yeah,
most of the time, and they're
100%.
kind of twisted a little bit
Yes.
for most of them.
Mm-hmm.
Swam, you inspired me to pick up a card, by the way.
What did you get?
I'm
Oh, a
showing you now.
Storm achievement.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a rainbow. I
Nice.
see that. Yeah, that's nice.
That's low pop because I own them all.
I love this card though.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Don't show
The
Gingy.
foiling on her necklace and all that. Oh,
Yeah,
man.
it's
That's nice.
Yeah,
So to talk a little bit about grading, so the thumbnail isn't complete clickbait. What are you guys doing? I know, Matt, you just got a microscope, and I picked one up too, just to have it. Before I was just using a jeweler's loop. What are you guys doing prior to grading?
That's it. Look at that,
All right.
dude. That's ridiculous.
Centering
Get out of here,
tool.
Melfi.
So
Aiming at the light to
Throw
check
that
for
guy
dimples
out
and
for that card.
scratches.
That's ridiculous.
And then the microscope. just
flexing
for
big
flying
time.
edges.
He's
Oh
like
my God.
got 545s on the bell. It's just
He's like fire marshal. He's like, let me show you something. Check out this card here. It's shiny.
Swami has everything.
Is that a
Anything
pop
that you
one?
throw out.
Swami? Is that a pop one? It's gotta
Oh,
be
it's
a
pop one, baby.
Yeah.
Pop one. There's PSA 10s, but
Are there?
there's no
Okay.
CGC 10s.
No, right. I know. Right.
For grading, I will submit my cards to whoever I think is going to give me the best grade. So if I think
not who you're submitting to. How are you evaluating your cards prior to sending them in?
Yeah.
I mean, we beat who you're going to send your cards to. and
Yeah,
what
I
reasoning
think-
you have to a horse, man.
I
But,
think
like, what do you do personally?
I
before
just
you
have a
send your
bright
cards?
light. I just have a bright light, and I just check all the edges and corners. Like, make sure that there's no dents. That's like the biggest thing that I'm looking for is no dimples, no dents.
Are you
And
using
then,
the centering tool as well? Or
No, I just eyeball it.
Eyeball
it. Yeah.
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 Alonzo eyeballs
bought-
everything. And he gets
The
great
batteries
cards.
are out of it right now, but I bought this lighted
Mhm.
magnifying glass, which is really, really cool. The reason
How
that
many times does it magnify, Ken?
I think it's 20. I don't remember, to be honest.
Swami. This is
But-
the Pokemon case that was being asked about.
But the reason that I
yeah,
like
yeah.
this is because I can take this to shows.
Mm.
And when I'm looking at cards at shows, I can look at a raw card, right there at the show and kind of get a decent idea of whether it's, got issues or not. It's not going to be 100%, but this thing is pretty cool.
I might get a keychain or like a neck holder for this.
36 booster boxes.
It has a battery in it too, I think.
Yeah.
So
See, I grabbed that up and I like it so far. I haven't had a chance to mess around with it too much. I played with it a little bit when it came in, trying to figure out how much I want to zoom in on the cards, because the more you zoom in, the more you are going to see.
Yeah.
And knowing that they're not doing that on your cards, that they may be using like a 3 to 5x real quick.
What kind of cards are you talking about? Talking about like 1988? Or are you talking?
No, just what your process for evaluating cards that you're sending in a grade, whether it's Pokemon, Marvel, sports, whatever. Like
Like if you look
What
at a
do
card
you
and you think
do-
it's
what
an
do
8,
you
you're
do?
not sending it in.
what's your process?
Is it centered? Is there dents? And is there any? How's the corners? And on Pokemon, is there any whitening on the corners? It's pretty simple. It's pretty simple. I know it can be intimidating, but it's really not. Like you send in like a 20 card sub, and unless you get hammered, like don't send in Marvel 1990 MU.
yeah.
And if you don't get hammered, you'll get some confidence and you'll be fine. It's not hard.
Yeah.
Well, don't flood the market, right? I mean, don't kill my. Don't become.
Any of you, it's already flooded.
It's super hard. It's extremely hard. In fact,
Hey,
I can't sleep some nights because.
should I send this one in? I don't know. I'm thinking about sending this one in.
That's a cool one.
Oh, Manu's gonna
Chris-
get mad at you if you do that.
Chris says he can't sell it. So Chris, if
Well,
you can't
so-
sell it, that
Well,
means
so
you need
all
to
right.
come
So
on
I
the
have
stream
a
and
quick
you need to
I have a
look
quick story about this. So I've had this card for a bit, obviously out of the number 11 book, and it's really really well centered and it's really crispy, right? And I was going to send it in to get graded, but with hearing the CGC signature series stuff, I think I'm going to wait until they do a McFarlane signing and send that in then. And that's what I'm going to do with that card.
You should get a gold one to send in because they have gold variants of
I
that
could.
card.
And
too.
then there's also a Liefeld signing.
Yep.
this.
that I'm
Bad Wizard,
thinking about.
this right here. That comment right there. Bad Wizard.
Yes.
Just say yes.
So-
I'll send you a link.
Yes.
I saw Ryan's comment. You're welcome, bud. I was glad to send those extra cards your way and that Black Panther. I hope you enjoy it, man. So thank you,
Stacks,
everybody
it's-
who came in from
just
MythicCon.
so Fuchs knows, Chucky Stacks, it's not my camera, it's my internet connection,
Right.
sir. Sorry. Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm on a
Come on, you live in Naples. You're not in the middle of nowhere, Florida.
Man, there's so many things that I could explain to you, but I'm not going to right now. It's just it is what it is.
If anyone's worried about grading, you can sell me your raw card. I can grade it and let you know how well it does. Like if you think you've got a 10, I will buy it, and that way I can get you warmed up into the process.
Yeah, so I'm pretty much the same way. Like when I'm going through my cards, like I used to be using my jeweler's loop, and I would put the card in a penny sleeve. Well, first I take it and I tip it every direction I could think of under the light to look for print lines or dimples or something like that, because that stuff is hard to see looking straight on at it. And I would do the same front and back, and then I would flip it. I'd put it in a penny sleeve so I wasn't scratching it up, and I'd run the jeweler's loop around the corners looking for the whitening, and in between each corner checking all the edges. And then I would just eyeball the centering for the most part. I do have a centering tool that every now and then I would use, but it's so close and it's so minute that it's so hard to really tell how they're going to judge it anyway. I think they pretty much just eyeball them too. Because I mean, I've had Pokemon cards that, you measure them and they fall within that 60 to 40 range, and it's not getting a 10 just because of the centering. Right. You can look at them and just go, yeah, visually it's too far off center for them to justify doing that. But what's up, Soul? How you doing?
I take it and I'll use light to see if there's any reflection. Like I just sent in 5 Pokemon cards today, and it's got these crazy textures on it. These new cards they're all textured up, and it's like, I make sure there's no fingerprints on it. That's about the only doctoring I do. Is I'll take a microfiber cloth.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll wipe every card, make sure there's no fingerprints.
Yeah.
And make sure when you are wiping that you go from center out, so that way you don't catch those edges and correcting them up. Marvel Marshall says he's about to put a large sub in for the first time ever. What are Marvel cards at for grading with PSA? I think if you're sending through like a group submitter or you have a membership with them, I think it's 15. I could be wrong on that.
I was going to say 15 or 20. I forget the pricing now. It changed recently. Yeah.
And I'd hold off a little bit because they're going to be announcing a national special probably pretty soon.
Yeah, because the national is the last week of July, so they probably will do that.
Yeah. Exactly, Ryan. A lot of people say it all the time is you should buy the card, not the grade. Josh did a little game on his show on Friday where they were kind of comparing. They pulled up 3 random cards and they were comparing which cards you'd rather have. When you show grades become involved in people's decision making.
That's right.
Versus
Jeffrey Shea, what's up, man?
With my PC, I'd like to have my cards raw on my PC. If I buy it graded, it's what it is. But more times, if I'm buying it graded, it's probably because it's a 7 or an 8, and then I'm probably going to crack it and put it in a top load or a 1-touch, so it's matches.
If it's a low grade, yeah, right,
yeah. But I mean, there's not a whole lot that I send in unless my plan is to sell the card.
Well, it's funny. This was in an SGC slab, just so you know, but I cracked it for the Liefeld signature. So that's why I'm sending that one in.
Right.
Trying to get a pink of that to send in.
Yeah, grading as least favors. That's all right.
Yeah,
Valor's here now, so we'll move on to some other sort of grading. So as soon as he gets in here and pops in, we were just passing the time until he showed up because what we really wanted to talk about tonight was evaluating your comic books for grading and how somebody that's potentially looking to buy raw and then grade to increase value with comic books. Because I think that there's more potential there with books than there is with cards to get that increase, especially when you're talking vintage stuff. And Daniel's like,
well, so just a funny topic now that you're mentioning Daniel is I'm going to San Diego Comic-Con with this crazy man, and
it'd be like that.
there he is, and I'm going to be leaning on him very, very much for his knowledge as far as raw comics because I'm going to be there and I'm going to be doing a thing. So what's up, my dude?
What's up, Kent? How are you guys doing tonight?
Good, brother.
we're doing all right. We were just
Good,
passing the time until you got here. Knew you were busy with the fam and everything, so we were just killing time. So that way you could teach us all the ins and outs of comic books and what we should be looking for when we're looking at raw books and evaluating them ourselves for like. I mean, I know there's so many different numbers in that grading scale that you can't pinpoint like an exact grade a lot of times. But
yeah, it really only starts getting tricky when you get into the nines because a 9.0 to a 9.8 is a near mint book, like regardless, and then it's just being nitpicky and finessing a few things along the way. But I should have some good examples of like what to me would be a 9.8, and most of the time are. It just gets tricky with grading because it's always human. It's subject to interpretation, moods, emotions. Like there's all kinds of factors that could be going on when collectibles are being graded. So that's also something to be considered.
And you offer a pre-grading service too, so you can actually tell somebody like, hey, I don't think it's worth sending in or getting pressed or cleaned, right?
Yeah, like someone could send me a book and say, all right, I only want to submit this if it's going to be a 9.8, in which case I can look at it.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then CGC's also changed one of the requirements for doing a pre-screen to where if you only want to get a 9.8, then all you have to do is just select the option when you're doing your invoice, and we'll take care of that for you. I had a tool.
William asked, do we prefer comics or cards? Personally, myself, I prefer cards, mostly because I don't know that much about the books themselves.
I'm both. I got both.
And I have been buying books.
I will say cards
PC
only
stuff.
because of space.
Yeah, that's a big factor too.
Space and weight.
Yeah.
I'm actually digging through those FUA cards right now for you, Daniel, trying to find a 3x3.
Oh, it is no rush at all. I'm just trying to get logged in from a secondary camera. That way we don't have to do this whole awkward thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Ryan, absolutely. If you're looking to buy graded cards or get graded cards, it's easier to just buy the card that's already graded than it is to evaluate and try to get the graded card.
Yep.
But if you can get a good eye for it, then you can definitely have that as a way to make money to then fund your hobby.
Also, for me, I like when I collect certain like cards, like for example, like the Wolverine nullified version, the low series, Once Spider-Man Metal. I'm going after a 9.8, Wolverine 8. That's the cover that they used for that comic. So I'd like to actually put that in like a display case eventually, So.
Viking Sword says he likes both cards and comics. He likes graded comics, but the slabbed comics don't allow you to enjoy the splash pages. True. It makes it that much harder to read the books.
Yep.
So then you either have to have a graded copy and a raw copy, or you have to have a graded copy and then that there's a digital subscription
Yeah.
you can pay for, right?
Marvel Unlimited.
Basically, yeah, it's unlimited books every month, and you can read as many as you want, something like that.
But
It's
with
great.
that, it's
Yeah,
they don't have the newest releases normally. So
but they have the older books that people
yeah,
are
they have
looking
older books, so you can get
for
caught
the
up on
slabs, so
stuff.
you can go back. Like I could go back, get a subscription. I could go back and read all the books from my childhood straight through in a series to get, like, if I wanted to learn more about a storyline, I could do that and then go back and catch up on that, right?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. What's up, Joshua?
Graded pages. Oh boy, he's going deep into that.
All right, so just a running
I do
joke real
graded
quick. Is
pages.
it Viking sword or is it Viking's word?
I'm going with Viking sword.
It's an old, really old running joke. It's obviously Viking sword, and he's awesome, but it's just a funny joke.
Vintage Lord said he submitted cards last week. It's getting sent priority to CGC. Hasn't arrived on its destination. I think as long as you had the invoice created, right, Daniel,
Yes.
then you're good to go. Even if they receive it after the 10th, I think it's good to go.
I've got a stack of stuff I got to send off for the $5 whatever is reslabbing for the like 8.5s and 9.
The reholder.
The reholder. That's what I meant. Yeah.
Don't you got to wait till after the 10th for that, though?
Is it after the
11th,
10th?
yeah.
I couldn't find the. Okay, I couldn't find the link. I was.
Yeah,
kinda
I think you might
curious.
want to.
Okay.
Don't send those off early because
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll reholder them for you yet. They probably got to get the printers and everything switched over.
Gotcha.
Josh popped in and he was frozen. He's popping
saw
back
him,
in.
yeah.
Now. There he is.
There he is.
Are you here?
All
with
right,
us?
I don't think I'm frozen anymore.
No, you're good now, I
He's
think.
like, hello and goodbye.
You have all 17 of your kids in bed?
Yeah, I'm all over the place. Is Swami still on, or did he jump off?
No, he wasn't
jumped
planning
off.
on coming on, and he had to pop off. So
He always
Missed him
pops
again.
off when I pop
you
on.
missed him
I
again.
know. I know.
It's almost like you're the same
To
person.
be fair, he got off a few minutes before you came on, so
Oh, okay. Well, I saw him
so
on.
it wasn't
earlier.
like he saw you come in and then he's out.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Hey, what's up, Kent?
What's up, brother?
How are you doing?
Well, we're going to get in some trouble in a couple weeks, buddy.
I know we are. It's gonna be great with Daniel.
See it now.
No, I know.
I can see it now. I want to see pictures. I don't want to see them, but I can see this happening. All you guys getting dressed up in navy dress whites.
All right, hang on. Josh, I gotta tell us a real quick story. Josh is doing a cosplay. I'm not gonna tell what it is. He's Batman, but so I'm starting a very subtle cosplay, and you can't tell because I don't really do a beard, right? But I'm doing a goatee. But here's my cue as to who I'm gonna be, and then see if first person I can guess can guess.
The Mr. Magoo.
Iron Man.
Sorry,
That's Tony Stark right there, baby.
it's all blurry. So
I'm sorry, my camera sucks. It's my internet connection that's so terrible.
It
It's
took
so
me a
bad.
second. I got you.
Yeah,
I got
no,
you,
it's
man.
those are the Edith glasses. I got those.
Jeff says Stanley. Stanley.
the
there you
Edith-
go.
Stanley.
yeah.
Stanley.
Yep, Stanley.
Yes, I'm gonna do an appearance like I'm gonna. Hey,
if you're doing
No.
Iron Man, then you're Hugh Hefner. So, I mean,
Tony
yeah.
Stark.
right, maybe I don't know. I'll try it. Whatever.
Tony Stank.
It's entirely true. Yes.
That's funny.
All right. All right, Daniel, you're up, man. You're up.
All right. So the way I believe we're doing this is with raw comics, it can be tricky to determine what the grade is, especially if you walk into your LCS or your local comic shop and you start looking at books on the wall or in short boxes and long boxes. You can see books, but you may not be able to know what you're looking at. Well, the first thing that you have to do is gather the knowledge and at least have the curiosity to want to look. Like the first step is just walking in the door. So once you go through there and you dug around, you find some books. Because the way with comic books, the thing that most of the time draws you, if you don't have the knowledge of what you're looking for, is going to be based on the cover. And in fact, that's where grading comes in, because it's majority of it is all based on grading the cover. So I put this to the side. This is a book that I'm just getting cleaned and ready to press to be sent off. But this is a newer issue. So this is something that you will probably see whenever you walk in, is this copy of Absolute Carnage, and it has a cover by Clayton Crane, which I had to pull because I'm a sucker for artist Clayton Crane. Look into his stuff if you have not seen it before. So whenever you
myself, by the way, knowing that he's going to be at San Diego.
Oh yeah,
Kent.
I'll be in that
William
line.
said stop ordering your internet from Wish.
It's not my. It's all right. If I'm on my phone's dial-up mobile connection, okay, just give me a break for a second. All right, there's a reason.
I mean, if you want to talk to me after the show, I'm
on a mobile
AOL?
hotspot. Yes, I'm on a hotspot at the moment.
All right,
Yes,
Kent, you can't use that as an excuse. I'm on a hotspot right now.
all right, well, yours is better than mine. Sorry.
So I'm going to use this as a magnifier to make it easy. So the way I see a comic book, like whenever you take it out and you look at it at the raw form, a lot of times your attention is going to go towards the center, because that's where the image is majority of the time. But where my focus and where I start looking is I instantly go and stop at the top left corner, and then I make the square. So I go down.
You're the reason I do that.
Yes. I've shown you this before, but you start at the top left and make your way down. Now, it looks very clean because this is a near mint book. So you're like, yep, looks like a book. Well, whenever you start getting into older books or lower grades, well, now you see the difference in the spine. Everything just changed.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can see all these color breaks that are breaking in right here. Well, that's going to affect grading, and that affects the condition of it. So with this book, with the first appearance of Electro, this is Spider-Man number 9. It's a good Silver Age book. But with this, like all these color breaks, that's going to affect the grade.
Right.
So you see here how it breaks all the way down, and then carrying it over to the near mint book, there's no color breaks. So lay square, you want to pay attention to your corners. You can see here how this is square. It has a sharp point to it versus this is more rounded. So it's almost like it has bends. And then continue making your way up to that top right, and then you just carry over. So that's your first initial inspection on the condition of the book. At least that's how I do it. Now I'm going to try to get the camera to zoom in here. It's not going to pick it up, but it's there. So you just take my word for
About
it.
as close as you're getting right there
Yeah.
before it goes out of focus.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there is color rub here on the stable. And what color rub is just friction where it's been inside the bag and board, and it's literally rubbed the color off of the comic. So it's not going to kill anything. It can still get a 9.8 in that category, but it's something to be conscious of, because where a lot of collectors and people that get caught up with buying comic books to get graded, what we just walked through with this book, this is as far as it gets.
Is that the new Omega book, by the way? I'm sorry.
What is it?
Is that the new Omega book?
I don't believe so.
Okay, sorry.
No, you're fine.
Is that the one where there's one that he got the Iron Spider suit? Tony Stark actually, so he got stabbed in the chest by Carnage, and in order to save his life, Tony Stark used nanites to actually give him the Iron Spider suit.
Looking like it.
That might be the key. Red Goblin's in it as well. I have it on order. It hasn't come yet. Yeah, I think that is the book. So that's a good one to get actually slabbed right now. Because you know he's going to get the costume again in the future.
Yeah. If you guys aren't familiar with what we're talking about in reference to Red Goblin, Norman Osborn, the Green Goblin, merges with Carnage symbiote, the red symbiote that Carnage is known for, and creates the character Red Goblin.
Mm-hmm.
And then his grandson, I think, becomes the new Red Goblin eventually in the comics.
Normie Osborn.
Normie.
Maybe it's not. Okay.
So now that we've covered that front, this is where people don't go. Like it's very seldom that a collector will actually look at the back part of the comic book. And when people are communicating with me and asking pictures for this, that, or what I think, my first question is, well, what's the back look like? Yeah. Because I've had beautiful front covers, absolutely no back cover. Or a crease that goes this way,
Right.
this way, this way.
Scratch
This
or
has
something.
been up.
Right.
There's like horrible staining. There's sun
Right.
damage. There's a lot of different things that can go on into the back cover, but because you're so focused on the front, you don't ever pay attention to the back. And that's where you're going to get hurt the most on the grade. So the same way that I started off at the front where we made our L shape at the top, well, I'll stop here at the bottom right and then just kind of do the same thing, examining it and making my loop, going back. It's probably not going to pick it up, but there's a little bit of color rub right here on the bottom
I see
corner.
that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then making it over. Now that there's not been any significant damage found to this book, there's no color breaks, there's no deep bends or anything, this book can still get a 9.8 because the grading scale starts at a 10. It starts at a 10.0, and then every little minor defect, you take away a 2.0. So as I'm looking at this, if the only thing I have found is a color rub here, and then the color rub up in this area on the front cover, that's a 9.8.
That was going to be my next question: is what do you estimate that book at? So,
I would give it a 9.8.
yeah, all right.
Like as is, not even having to press it. It should get a 9.8.
Right, sure.
Well, then you get into older books, and older books is different. Like we're not going to be talking a 9.8 of this book because then that's going to be like thousands. Thousands.
Right.
So same thing. It's like, oh crap, that's the first appearance of Electro. Like I know in the comments it's already been spotted. It's like, hey, that's oh shit, Electro's first at. Well, yeah, that's what it is.
Right.
So that's what this book is. So that's where that experience where you walk into a comic book shop and you're like, oh wait, I know that. Same thing. So when you're going to check it out, you would start over here at the top left. William, have I ever seen a 10 before? I have, but they're rare. You can get them on eBay. It's going to be a random comic book that isn't like any kind of an investment or anything. You're literally buying it because it's graded a 10.
I've seen a lot of them that are like the foil covers because it's printed differently that they're getting 9.9s and 10s. But
Yes.
not like a book like that.
Right.
Like also, if you're going to buy a 10, make sure you check the actual registry. Make sure it's not a fake as well.
Right.
There are fakes out there, guys.
Yeah. So then same thing with this book. You just start and you make your L, and then you can see all the damage that's going down the spine. That's actually something called a reader's crease. It's very common in this, but it also kind of destroys the grade. So you can see all the damage that's already been done to it. It's going to make an impact overall. And then since it's older too, you can see a lot of like bends and grime and everything like that.
In mid-page and stuff, there's like indentations in the page itself.
Right, like right here where the light's hitting it. That's going to affect it. Up here at the top, you see where all that color is not present on the book. That's going to affect it. And then as you make your way along the top, there's also tears. You can see where the color breaks. Or like even right here.
Yeah. Those tears, do those hurt those more than the color breaks do as far as the grade goes? Honestly,
they consider it the same.
Okay.
Like on a book this old and where it's already in that lower grade, it's going to impact the same. Like there's not going to be much of a difference. Now, if the tear being this size in diameter, it's the same equivalent. But if this tear went all the way down to like say a quarter of the book or even further, then it would be significantly different. But that's because the damage of the tear is different. Does that make sense?
Let me ask you a question,
okay,
Daniel. So how do you? So you start at a 10 and you start point to like this defect, like how? Where do you like? How do you get to where the general census is? Okay, this is a 7, or this is a 7.2, or this is a like. You see a ding and you like literally like.
Do you want to see an example of a 7?
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, like, how do you get to the basis of this is what this book is graded at based upon the amount of defects that it has? Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on the spine there. Is that just you know what I mean? I'm just trying to figure it out.
That's not something that you can just print off a chart and go down by down by down. You can do it, but you're going to spend about an hour looking at that book and cross-examining it. A lot of it just comes with experience and looking at books for a number of times in different grades and everything like that. It's like I can't grade a card to save my life. Like if you put a card in front of me and ask me if it's centered, I can't tell you. But that's because I don't have the knowledge or the experience to be able to say, yeah, that looks centered.
Right.
Because I've been on streams with people before where I'm like, oh, wow, this is pretty clean. Should I get it graded? And everyone's like, no, it's way off center. Like, what are you talking about? It's off center. There's no way it's off center. I just pulled it out of a pack. No one hit it and made it off center.
Let me
some of those cards
let
that
me go
border
grab
are
one of
really
those
hard to
purely
tell.
periodics we were talking about. Hang on a second. I'll tell you what.
Right.
That's funny.
And then hopefully this will be a good example of the back too.
What year was that book?
What year is this?
Yeah.
I want to say 1963.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
So with those old books like that, you're going to have issues with like discoloring and stuff from time to time as well, depending how it's stored, correct?
Right. So you'll have things that are called tanning, which is pretty obvious right here, where you can see the left side of this right here is tan, and then it fades over to white. There are other things called foxing. Foxing is almost a bacterial infection within the paper, which will cause like little brown spots, and it's faint. It's not always as evident as tanning is, but sometimes it's easy to find. Hopefully there'll be some. Or like right here.
Yep.
Yeah, it's almost like something was covering that part of the book and keeping it from getting fading, like you have with like your carpet in your house when you move your furniture.
Right. Now, if this
was
the opposite, if this part was white and this part had to fade, that's called a dust shadow.
Yep.
And it's just
Where
it's
it was
the same
above
thing.
something else and the light was hitting it. Right.
Yeah, and then you can see down here, it's right there as well.
Yeah.
That's weird.
And you have I know some graders have a cleaning process where they can actually kind of like help with that effect or kind of help remove it somewhat. Like, but not remove it completely, but like, what's the process like for that? I'm just curious.
You get a tank like this,
Okay.
and then you get blue LED lights and hydrogen peroxide, and then you end up laying it. I can pull it out.
So 1990 Marvel Impel, they yellowed a lot too.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think if that's the same process, with the whole temperature and all that stuff, the different
I mean, it can be.
conditions.
So if you look at it too, your natural region where you are, like we have to store things a little bit differently in the South than someone does in the North,
Okay.
and so forth and so on. So
I
storage.
have a tub of damp red in my closet with my comics, basically.
Right, like
Just to be
a
able to
lot.
save
I know a
some
lot of people,
humidity.
especially in the South, have to get air purifiers.
Yep.
Just to try to help. There's other areas that has condensation. There's also other collectors that could care less. Like they're not thinking about what they have in that term of a collector. It's just I've got a stack of cards that I've had since I was a kid.
Yeah. Like I used to keep my cards when I was a kid, and I lived north of New Orleans and by Lake Pontchartrain, so it was a lot of humidity. I just kept them in my closet, in like just like normal 500 count card box with no penny sleeves. And you can definitely tell the ones that were kind of like exposed when it got really hot up there in the room.
Right.
Yeah, you can see the yellowing and everything and the discoloration. I left a few actually on the windowsill, and those are just completely bleached.
I'll tell you a quick horror story. So I used to be into sports cards back in the day. I had a sports card shop actually, and I kept them in the cardboard, the boxes that we all did, and had them in my garage. And bugs literally got in there and ate them.
Oh yeah,
ate them. I have a Peyton Manning and a Randy Moss rookie card that have been eaten by bugs.
Oh
They
wow!
were just in a 1998 rookie card, eaten by bugs. Yes, I have those. It's terrible. Yeah, live and learn. What are you going to do?
Should send them in and see if you can get a bug qualifier.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Daniel, and you may be getting to it, but you had mentioned in a bunch of other videos you had done, like pressable defects and stuff like that.
Mhm.
When you're looking at that Electro book, is there stuff on there that you would consider pressable defects? Obviously, not the spine, not the tears,
Oh, yeah.
but in the center of the book, right?
Oh yeah. So with this book in particular, like this specific copy, it actually had restoration. So with the restoration, it had color touch.
Okay.
And what that is restoration used to. I'll make me big, so that way you can see me real quick. So I'm just looking at this. So back in the day, restoration was incredibly common for books. Like how I clean and press books now. Well, adding restoration was common practice because at that point in time, you were enhancing your book to give it a higher grade and a higher desired value. Versus fast forward to where we're at now, it doesn't. The same thing cannot apply because someone had to alter the book in order to restore it. Versus with cleaning and pressing, there's nothing being added to it. You're removing natural dirt and grime using an eraser and a pencil, like very, very carefully, but you're just removing something that's been there over time. Be like if you have a Corvette, let's just say you have a Corvette and you sit it outside and you don't park in the garage, you keep it under, it's going to collect pollen and dust. And you don't really want to drive around with a dusty Corvette. You know, you might want to take it through a car wash or wash it yourself. Same things applying to the book.
I got to use a clay bar on my hood. It looks terrible. Like the dirt's got all the paint. So yeah, there's in that
So
process.
if I come across this book and I'm looking to pick up the first appearance of Electro and I see this copy of this book sitting in a shop or a sale or wherever, a thrift shop, whatever, and I'm looking at this, and you're me, and you know so much about these books, what do you estimate the grade on this book is without doing anything to the book?
As is about a 2.5 to a 3, like in that lower grade range. Because whenever raw, you have a lot more leeway when it comes to grade than it does already graded where that it's solidified. So you can give ranges when it's raw. You can be like, well, and I know you've heard this, like, well, it's a lower grade, it's a mid grade, it's a high grade. Well, when you're given that description, then it just creates an umbrella. So it's like, it could be here, it could be there, but it's in that direction.
Based on whoever ends up looking at your book, right?
Right.
You said there's pressable defects here. There's stuff you can do with the blue light and the hydrogen peroxide to clean that up and whiten it some more.
Mm-hmm.
What do you estimate the book could get to after your sort of services?
So after cleaning and pressing, I think this book would get a 3. Now, when it was restored, it was a higher grade, but because the restoration had more extent towards it, and because the restoration was what it was marker and pen. And to remove that's not as easy as cleaning and pressing it. In fact, if I can try to zoom in, I can try to show you where the marker was before. And it was actually over here on the spine. So let me.
So they were trying to essentially
color it,
not necessarily hide up, but they were trying to color those white spots on the spine. Then,
yeah.
Hey guys, I just wanted to pop.
So you'll start seeing small dots.
Yeah.
On the interior of it,
ink.
That's
is
where
that
you
the
would
ink
find
coming
your
through from the other side. Is that what that is?
Yeah, that's where you can find that it was marker.
Yeah.
And then say over here at the top, you see where it's blue?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's pen.
Yeah.
But since it's tore, if it's tore like that, then you didn't really restore anything, did you?
No. Interesting.
And then these bigger spots right here. Initially, I thought it was crayon. I was hoping it was crayon because crayon's a hell of a lot easier to remove than marker.
Right.
But they came up right there. And then also there was more color touch right here in his collarbone.
Sure.
What was originally supposed to be 2 spots of color touch right here quickly turned into 9.
Wow.
So there's